We got several casings up here right by the ATM.
I got a chopper in the air. You ain't going nowhere.
On August 21st, 2024, 4 armed suspects robbed a Brinks armored vehicle at a Huntington Bank ATM in Cleveland, Ohio, shooting one employee and fleeing in a black Dodge Durango with no license plates. 3 weeks prior, the same crew profile and vehicle description were used in an identical armored truck robbery in the same area with no arrests made. Officers pursued the vehicle until it crashed, then apprehended 3 of the 4 suspects on foot. This analysis examines the 3 central legal issues raised by this footage: arrest authority, pursuit, authorization, and liability, and the field Miranda advisement.
What's going on? You guys got someone? Where?
Brinks truck came to empty out the ATM. Somebody shot the.
Well, where are they at?
Okay, we don't know.
Brinks truck took off.
Yeah,
Okay.
Brinks truck.
Yeah, we're looking for. Yeah, they're saying a Brinks truck employee is shot. We're speaking to engine 30. Which way did it go?
Right here, eastbound.
Yeah.
It's a 2022, 2023 black Dodge Durango, no license plate with 10 on the window. Here come a gentleman from the.
Yeah.
So he got out, customer is.
Wait, the employee is.
And the big dude. Yeah, they shot that no license plate in the back with 10 on the windows.
2022 to 2023 Dodge Durango, black in color, no tint on the windows. He's the one that's possibly shot. He was emptying the thing. So you guys, wait, so he was the employee in the Brinks truck?
Yes, he's an employee in the Brinks truck.
But he's in the Dodge Durango?
No, he's in the Brinks truck. The shooter is in the Durango.
Where'd the Brinks truck go? I don't care about.
We don't know. He
Self-transported.
Yeah, we went to ask him, was he okay? And he just kept saying, yeah, but they must have, his dispatch told him don't let the windows down. No, it's too bad.
If we get any more views on that, let us know. That's the suspect. They said the guy in the Brinks truck is shot. They think he's self-transported to the hospital. We have located on that Brinks truck.
Yeah, they told him to get off the scene. Yeah.
Where? Let's go find the crime scene, Bobby. Where? Oh, right here. Yeah. Bobby, come on. Got one here, one here. Yeah.
Right there.
We got several casings up here right by the ATM. I'm gonna mark them off real quick. Which way did that car go? The guy with the gun? What was he wearing?
He had on white jeans, white tennis.
What do you mean, light blue jeans?
Yeah, light blue jeans. This part was white, and then this part was sky blue. That's the only one I had seen.
On the right side?
No, this whole bottom part.
When he took off running, where did you pick him up at?
He was laying on the ground. When I had turned, like behind the truck. Because that's when I looked out the camera.
Your truck hit?
Then I seen that he was on the ground. Okay.
12 the radio, black shirt with white at the top on the right side and then light blue on the right bottom by his stomach. It was a black sweatshirt?
Black sweatshirt?
Yeah, said the shooter.
I don't know.
What shirt? What the shooter? What kind of shirt was he wearing?
He had on the jacket.
Jacket. Okay, what color was the jacket?
It was, this top part was white, this bottom part was like a sky blue with light jeans.
No
with
black?
white shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody, I'm pretty sure this might have
this
said
side
I'm
is black.
Yeah,
No, the guy who shot your friend.
it was multiple ones. One of them
Give me a
probably
second,
did have
radio.
on all black.
Huh?
One of them probably did have on all
Okay,
black.
the guy who actually shot, the guy who did the shooting, you were describing to me, he said he had light blue, he had red, white here and blue.
No,
What was
that's
the rest of the shirt?
No, it was a jacket.
Okay, what was the rest of the jacket?
It was white up top and it was sky blue at the bottom.
Okay. He's saying the shooter had a jacket on, it was white up top and light blue on the bottom.
Like 3.
He said the other, one of the other gentlemen had all black on.
Gonna be going eastbound on Arcade. Turn down to 167, and I don't have them anymore.
We're calling OSP, they're supposed to be in the area.
Wait, did you saw it all? I lost him at 167.
There it is.
And I think he's maybe.
We got it at 169 in Ozark, going north on 169 towards Lakeshore. Eastbound on Lakeshore. Eastbound on Lakeshore. We have permission to chase.
Radio to 1014.
1014. Light it up. Ryan, you close?
We just hit a car.
Trying to get back. Where was the last team?
Go.
Lakeshore.
Give us the air. We got a crash. Males ran southbound.
Now in Keys, but it's an emergency SOS.
I'm gonna check on this victim here. It struck a Ford SUV. Are you okay? Do you need EMS? Do you need EMS?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You want EMS to check you out?
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay.
I'm on Ozark right now.
Can I get EMS at 169 in Lakeshore for a 19-year-old female conscious and breathing?
Issue 1 is arrest authority under the Fourth Amendment. A warrantless arrest in a public place requires probable cause. Officers here had eyewitness accounts of the robbery spent shell casings. At the scene, a confirmed vehicle description relayed by radio and active coordination between multiple units. Under United States v. Watson decided in 1976 that combination easily satisfies the probable cause threshold. This case goes well beyond a Terry stop. Terry v. Ohio requires only reasonable, articulable suspicion for a brief investigative detention. What officers had here was full probable cause, a significantly higher and more durable legal standard. Under Illinois v. Wardlow, unprovoked flight from police. After a crime is itself a factor that further strengthens probable cause. Every suspect who ran after the crash reinforced the lawfulness of their arrest. Issue 2 is vehicle pursuit authorization and the liability it creates. Under Ohio Revised Code, Section 4511.03 officers may disregard standard traffic laws during emergency operations, but only when pursuit has been properly authorized by a supervisor first. In this footage, supervisors granted that authorization over radio before officers engaged. That is not a procedural formality. It is a legal prerequisite, and operating without it exposes both officers and the department to civil liability under Section 1983 of the Federal Civil Rights Code. When the Durango crashed, it struck a civilian vehicle carrying a 19-year-old female. An officer paused the active foot pursuit to check on her condition and request emergency medical services. Under duty of care doctrine, established in state tort law, that decision was legally required, not discretionary. The obligation to protect an uninvolved civilian who was injured as a consequence of the suspect's flight does not yield to the pressure of an active pursuit.
Where were they last seen?
Can you go get my phone?
Any of them have a backpack?
1029 East 172, continuing eastbound. One of them's got red underwear on. He's headed north. Still headed north. He's around here somewhere. Over to 176 maybe. And yeah, 176 and Nottingham. Get on the ground! Get on the ground! I got 176 in Nottingham. Get on the ground! (1024 East 176).
One in custody.
Try. I need cuffs.
I got it.
Palms together. Palms together. Like you're praying. This is going to be the one with the red underwear. There was another one
roll
right
him out
in
of
front
sight.
of him.
On your side,
I
bud.
don't know where he went.
On your side. Any weapons on you? No. Any weapons on you?
Roll over. Turn over.
Hey, little, sit with that car. Go to the Durango and sit with it. Go to the Durango and sit with it.
Sit up. Sit up.
You got 3 more.
Stand up.
This way, this way. Which way do they go?
They're around here somewhere. There was one right in front of him.
What was he wearing?
All black. But he's the one I saw with the red underwear. Victor 89. Next block over, it's locked.
So he's still going that way?
Little, you're with the Durango now?
I think that
Durango, it's not up to the Brian's car. Next street over.
he goes nuts a lot.
Yeah.
But what I know is nuts.
My doors are locked.
And I knew to come.
They just robbed somebody at gunpoint. 1074 East 176th. He's in that area. Come on out. Come on out. Come on out. I got another one just one north of 1024 East 176. Come on out. Right back here, guys. Don't you move. Put your hands behind your back.
Where's he at?
Right here.
Where are you at, Brian?
Right here.
Oh, he's underneath the deck?
No, I got him out here. I need cuffs. Man, we've been looking for you guys for a while.
Where you at, Brian?
Right here. Put your hands together and palms together like you're playing.
Anything under here?
Roll your leg out. Roll over to your butt. I'm going to sit you up, okay? Is there anything under there?
No.
No pistols, nothing?
I don't got nothing.
All right.
Please grab all the bag.
I'm going to advise you your Miranda rights are there. Turn
Okay,
silent.
56,
Anything
you okay?
say
Where are
will be
you?
used against you. What's your name?
Issue 3 is the Miranda advisement, and it is the most significant evidentiary concern in this footage. At approximately the 9-minute mark, an officer begins to deliver Miranda rights to a suspect in custody in the field. But the advisement appears incomplete in the audio. Miranda v. Arizona, decided by the Supreme Court in 1966, requires that before any custodial interrogation, a suspect be clearly informed of 4 rights: the right to remain silent that anything said may be used against them in court, the right to have an attorney present, and the right to have an attorney appointed if they cannot afford one. A partial advisement is not a valid advisement. Any statement obtained through custodial questioning before a complete and documented Miranda warning is subject to suppression under the exclusionary rule. The prosecution must establish on the record that the full advisement was delivered, and that the suspect knowingly and voluntarily waived those rights before any questioning occurred. What appears in the Bodycam audio alone does not satisfy that evidentiary burden. On the use of force, Graham v. Connor requires that force be objectively reasonable from the perspective of a reasonable officer at the moment of the decision, not assessed in hindsight. Officers in this footage were apprehending suspects connected to a confirmed shooting with an unrecovered firearm still in play. Ground command's physical restraint and handcuffing under those circumstances represent measured proportional force at or below what the situation legally permitted. There is no excessive force issue present in this footage. Additionally, a suspect in custody spontaneously demanded that officers retrieve his money, referring to the stolen Brinks cash. Under Rhode Island v. Innis, that statement is admissible as a party admission regardless of Miranda status because it was not the product of any interrogation.
All right, well, we're going to add another charge to everything that's going on, my man. Okay.
It's fine.
I got him right here in the field. I need somebody by myself.
Where's she at?
I'm about to run back to these fences. Why are you on the other side?
Can you hold on to him? I'll go with
Put it
her.
in our car. Yeah. Keep him.
What field, Tia?
Lean up against the hood.
He's football dude.
Muldoons.
I'm looking at him.
How old
I'm
are
like
you?
in this field. Right by the freeway. The freeway.
Just 25.
Get on the ground. Get on the ground now. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now. Get on the ground. I got a chopper in the air. You ain't going nowhere. Get on the ground.
There. Hands behind your back. Behind your back.
Drop that.
You got any weapons on you?
Yeah, exactly.
No weapons. No weapons. You know me. Get up. I can't breathe.
Uh-oh.
Get up.
Is that me?
Get up.
Accidental radio. I'm on the highway.
Hey, get my money.
Where at? Okay.
Oh, God. Hey, get my money.
It's not your money.
Yes, it is.
R2 on radio. I'm on the highway with them.
Hey, get my money. Please.
Okay, emergency for okay?
Huh?
Sorry about that.
The responding officers receive an A-. Pursuit authorization was properly obtained before engagement. Probable cause was firmly established across multiple independent sources. Force applied during arrest was proportional to the circumstances. Civilian welfare was correctly prioritized during the foot pursuit. These reflect textbook decisions made under significant operational pressure. The one deduction is the incomplete Miranda advisement captured on camera. A constitutional advisement must be delivered in full, confirmed on the record, and paired with a documented voluntary waiver before any questioning begins. That procedural gap creates a suppression risk that could exclude evidence the prosecution would otherwise rely on at trial. The 3 apprehended suspects receive an F. Aggravated robbery under Ohio Revised Code. Section 2911.01 is one of the most serious violent felonies in Ohio, carrying a mandatory prison term. Their return to the same crime method 3 weeks after a prior robbery in which no one was arrested suggests organized and deliberate criminal conduct, which may support enhanced charges under Ohio's Organized Criminal Activity Statute. 1 suspect remains at large as of this analysis. 3 lessons from this incident. First, Miranda advisements must be delivered in full and documented on camera before any custodial questioning. Beginning an advisement and not completing it under field pressure is not a minor procedural error. It is a Fifth Amendment violation that can collapse the admissibility of statements obtained afterward. Second, pursuit. Authorization is a legal prerequisite, not a courtesy. Departments without a clear and documented authorization protocol carry civil liability exposure every time a pursuit ends in civilian injury. Third, preserve spontaneous suspect statements immediately. Statements made without interrogation are admissible as party admissions under Rhode Island v. Innis and frequently carry more probative weight at trial than post-arrest interviews conducted hours later. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching.